Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to greet you here at the session of the publishing house Kommersant, Investment in Real Estate Property. I am Property. I'm Elena Strukova, and our company is in charge of the investments into the real property, and we have facilities and premises in 27 regions of the Volga River. We have also a non-commercial partnership that unites 400 different institutions. And I would like to introduce our speakers. Rinat Aisov, Director for Territory Development and Sales, Capital Trust Investment Management Company. Gulnara Beglova, Senior Partner of the law firm Yalilov & Partner. Stanislav Medianov, Managing Partner of ABC Global. Clara Rietman, Head of Development Project of the UD Group Company. And Marat Shakirov, the General Director of Unipar Company. Of course, the attractive aspect of the commercial real estate is very important for any region, and we would like to talk about the current situation and prospects for investments in the facilities of the Republic of Tatarstan. In general, investment activity at the beginning of 2024 was characterized by a decrease in the volume of investments in all segments of real estate. And I believe that the main reason for this is the record number of transactions completed in 2023. And this washed out the most attractive projects by the beginning of 2024. From the historical peaks of 23, we are now getting back to the indicators of the previous 5 to 10 years. The main volume of transactions traditionally is located in Moscow and Moscow region. In the first quarter of 2024, the share of transactions with the participation of foreign capital decreased, and it was only 9% of all realized or sold assets. In general, the Russian commercial property market is currently characterized by strong differentiation in various segments. And maybe my colleagues will agree or they will argue. The most demanded segment and most attractive from the point of view of investments, this is the warehouse property. And I looked through the presentations of the esteemed speakers, and we're going to talk about the warehouse property. I believe in the next 3 to 5 years, the warehouse property segment is the most attractive for the investments. Just a few figures. In 2023, the warehouse property market in Russia's regions was characterized by active demand covering the entire country. This includes St. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, Kazan, Nizhny Novgorod. We saw the demand in these cities since long ago, but now we are facing the shift of the demand for the warehouses to the cities with a population of about 500,000 inhabitants or less. The main drivers are the electronic e-commerce industry. They began signing the contract B2C. And by the end of 2023, the warehouse property market reached the record-breaking volume, and it reached 2.3 million square meters. At the end of 2023, the total volume of warehouse space commissioned during the year totaled 1.1 million square meters. According to various data, the total supply of warehouse space in Russia amounts to about 50 million square meters. Of this, Moscow and the Moscow region account for 26 million square meters. The Volga Federal District has 4.2 million square meters, and in Kazan at the moment the supply of quality warehouse premises amounts to 700,000 square meters. Speaking about the trends, I would highlight the following. First, this is the increased interest in warehouse facilities in the city with a population of 500,000 people or more. Also, we forecast the shortage of vacant warehouse capacity in key regional logistics hubs. At the same time, the shortage is due to low volumes of speculative space commissioning with high absorption rates. And on the other hand, most of the projects have the characteristic of B2C, meaning this is customer-made, customer-adopted, and in general, the level of supply per person is much lower than in Eastern Europe and in other countries. And still one important aspect in the segment of the warehouse property is the light industrial complexes. It is a separate area from the point of view of investment attractiveness in the warehouse property segment. And these light industrial properties are sold by blocks of about 1,000 square meters. And another feature is that they are not on the main highways, not like the big ones. And now I would like to ask Renata Isov, talking about your complex, do you have any specific warehouses? Yes, good morning, colleagues. And I would like to talk about the following. We are working with the development of the warehouses and trading with the landlords. Of course, our landlords are dedicated to the warehouse as well. First, a few words about the town development situation in Kazan. The real estate market is now moving quite actively. In Kazan, we observe strong internal demand, and there is a big inflow of population from the neighboring regions. As of today, within the city, we already are lacking the land, the free landlords. We see certain trends of renovation of the industrial zones within the city limits. And at the same time, the apartment residential construction already is outside the city, in the locations where before there were only separate individual houses. Now the multi-storied apartment houses are growing there. Still, we have a reserved area. This is the so-called western part of the so-called the western radius of the Kazan. This is 1/6 of the territory of the whole city. And a certain time ago, about 10 ago, we invested in the landlords at this territory, and by this we prepared the future development of this. Why it took so long to develop these landlords? It was difficult to determine what would be built at this territory, and the city municipal authorities were not very fast in taking the final development decisions. But now a new development plan had been approved, and in the last 3 years we are working very closely with the Institute of the General Plan Development of the city of Moscow, and we now have all the parameters for the development of this area. We're going to build 8 million of square meters of the residential area, 250,000 inhabitants, and what you see on the picture, this is not the final layout, but just the general idea where the residential area, and the commercial zones will be placed. And already quite soon we are going to present this to the developers. We also made the 3D modeling, and we developed the transport infrastructure for this area. We put our expectations on the Voznesensky Highway with the throughput capacity of 9,600 vehicles per hour. And the key idea when we were planning this territory was the so-called polycentric approach. We decided to place several cores at this area. This was production and economic facilities, and this should provide the necessary supply of labor force and necessary services. We expect that we will be able also to solve the labor migration because people are going through this area to the central of the city, but we expect that certain part of the population will find jobs there and they will find the satisfaction of their needs. As you see, these main development zones are at the crossroads of these highways. These are the industrial park Vostok, the key location Yablonevy Sady. In total we have 250 hectares for this total territory, and this includes warehouse and commercial real estate will count for 1.2 million square meters. Let me give you more details on several details. First is the social and business center Yablonevy Sady. The Kazan inhabitants know that it is quite difficult to find a proper space within Kazan. The problem is that sometimes the development is chaotic, but as we plan to develop this territory in an integrated way, we hope that we will be able to solve these problems successfully, and we will be able to set up the special areas in this location. We plan to build the highway that will connect this area with the Voznesensky Highway and with the street of Zorge. Also, we have the green infrastructure, the garden infrastructure, and these will be the boulevards, the gardens, and the embankment of the Noxa River. And we will have social and business center at the crossroads. There we will have the services centers for the population, and we also expect that it is possible to place here the business centers, trading centers, DIY supermarket, and in difference to the apartment housing development, there are no limitations for the development of other types of real estate in this area. Indeed, at present there is quite a high demand for the employment and for the services. Next key location is placed directly on the Voznesensky Highway. This also is neighboring the residential area with about 30,000 inhabitants. If on the western part we will have the commercial, mostly the commercial area, then on the northern part of the Voznesensky Highway we will have, as it was said, light industrial. We are developing this in a combined style. We plan to have a flexible approach to the development of this area. Of course, we are going to provide, first of all, the highways and the streets, but as to the internal part of the landlords, this is quite flexible. We can split it in different ways, and here on this layout we can see that there can be different approaches. We see here that the big trucks can enter this area because we have the highway, and the cargoes can be unloaded, and then smaller trucks will be delivering it to the city. Of course, our approach is quite flexible, and we are ready to adjust our approaches to the specific business. And the third object is the industrial park Vertelovka.
We are dealing with it for 3 years, and we suggest, according to the Greenfield project, the total area is 44 hectares, and about 70% has been already realized. And developers, they do their business there. Also, at the entrance to the city, we are planning a combination of different roads, and they will be attached to the new housing complexes. It was projected in such a way that it is a comfortable environment, and residents of the nearby regions of districts can come to the territory of this district, and in addition to industries and warehouses, we are planning other facilities like, so that administrative personnel could be nearby in comfortable business centers. I will not stop in details on other projects, but I want to tell you that in addition to Eastern Arch in our portfolio, we have some facilities outside of the city. We have some land plots there, and we are cooperating with professional managing companies, with investors. The investors, we are prepared to invest their funds, and we suggest models when we offer lands and developers offer their infrastructure, including residents, and we at the moment, and then we will share the profits. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Rinat. Dear participants, you can ask questions if you have any. And I will start with a question, Rinat. In your presentation, you mentioned that you are planning to build hotels. So let's use some profits in our lecture. Probably among our audience, there are those who want to invest money in the construction of hotels. In 2023, Kazan exceeded the indicator of 4 million tourists in the previous year. I remember in 2018, 2019, we hardly believed in 2 million, but now we are above 4 million. And for 2024, we already organize the Games of the Future, and then we will organize the brick session and brick games. So, the old hotels are being renovated, and the about 30% of all touristic trips fell on the Volga Federal District. But do you expect that investors will like to invest in the hotel business? Thank you for your question. As for the hotels, it is an interesting trend, and we observe an interesting trend because hotels, in addition to touristic format, in addition to classic format, we consider them as a place of accommodation for those who work in the warehouses and take into consideration that there is a major construction which will be expected in this area. We plan to build more than 55 million square meters there for the employees of the construction business and of the warehouses. So there is an interest to realize facilities in this area. For personnel, for employees, it will be housing for employees because there is no permanent housing there. The city is far away, and during the time when there is a construction, of course there are those who are interested in the implementation of such projects. But are you talking about hotels only for the employees? No, we suggest to provide land plots, but we do not limitate any wishes. If the investor comes with his demand, we provide land plots and we accompany the investor until the finalization of this project. And then we can attract investors for the construction of the facility. But if they do not plan to own the facility and they want to rent, so it will be a kind of an investment lot which will be transferred to the investor, and you are prepared to accompany this project. Okay, let's move further. The next speaker is Gulnara Beglova, and she is the senior partner of the law firm Yalilov and Partners. So probably, for example, if someone is prepared to invest in the construction of the hotel complex, what would you do? What the investor will do? So they will hire a legal company and they will accompany the investment process. What are the stages that the foreign investor will have to go through? Well, in fact, currently, investing in commercial real estate is very relevant, but before starting to invest, we have to understand what to invest and where to invest. I would not agree partly that we need to cooperate with a legal company, though I'm a representative of a legal company. We need a kind of a collaboration. We work with the management company during the whole cycle, which was mentioned by the previous speaker. And legislation is so large scale in Russia as for the investing issues. It depends on the type of investment and on where we want to invest. For our guests, I try to simplify this matter and to highlight and to enlist main regulatory acts which regulate the legislation in Russia. And this is a kind of a large-scale topic. We work with our investors and they interdepend on each other. So one law is about foreign investment. When we talk about the foreign element, about foreign investment activity in the Russian Federation in the form of capital inflows, when the investment is invested in the main property. Then there is a legislation about special economic zones, and I think this is one of the most successful investments in commercial real estate in Tatarstan. It goes ahead all the other projects, and we have 5 of them. It is federal law about industries in Russian Federation. It involves commercial and industrial projects. So we are talking about processing, manufacturing, etc. If we talk about climate in Tatarstan, professional investment climate, this is one of the key regions after Moscow, and this is the area where you need to invest in commercial real estate. And there is also legislation. It does not always differ, but it regulates the main norms that exist now. Well, it can be legislation not only of the Republic of Tatarstan. We have our own law in Republic of Tatarstan which regulates investment activity in our republic. Investment tax loans, what are the preferences that are provided to investors? It is very important for investors when they want to invest in a specific property. Then the state subsidies, state guarantees, and so on and so forth. And these are the norm acts and regulation which is foreseen in every Russian region which attracts Russian and foreign investments. So, summing up these two slides, I would say that this legislation is very, very large. And if you are afraid that investor will lose their funds, so I don't think that it has many reasons, because every law is regulated. If we talk about investments, I want to talk about some specific investments because I cannot disclose all the all the investment projects within 10 minutes. We have to talk about some specific investments. If we talk about Republic of Tatarstan, then since 2012 we have an investment council, and many investment projects are being considered by this investment council. And this is the result of the investing with the participation of Republic of Tatarstan. And main investment sites are special economic zones, zones that go ahead of the economic activity. These are the three main sites which are being invested via agreement with the state. Why I want to talk about this type of investments? First of all, if we talk about such investment sites, the state provides some kind of guarantee to investors, and they say to investors that we guarantee that your investments, your funds, you're investing in these investment sites will be preserved and will be secured. Then the state motivates and provide some preferences and privileges and provide their support. Talking about these investment sites that I mentioned, they consist of territories of the land plots. This is the starting point of any investment management company which creates and manages and helps investors to launch this business, to create it. Residents and infrastructure, these are industrial objects, transportation, and so on and so forth, which are necessary in order this investment site will exist. But when we talk about the implementation of an investment project, what needs to be done on a legal way for the resident to become a special economic zone? We know from the reports that special economic zone, Yelabuka, they have a queue because we provide very good conditions for residents and many people want to be there. What needs to be done to become a resident of this or that investment site? First of all, it is the registration of an enterprise or a legal person according to the Russian legislation. Well, the situation is not that a foreign investor comes and invests in. First of all, they have to be organized either as an individual entrepreneur or as a legal enterprise, as a legal entity. There are several stages which can be organized in parallel or one by another. Why I am talking about this agreement with the management company? The fact is that management company, they know all the legal acts and they know the mechanism of their implementation and the implementation of the investment project, and they will help you in the beginning when you register as an individual entrepreneur or a legal entity. This is the organization which helps the investor to communicate communicate with the state authorities and to launch the project within the possible shorter time, and to develop a business plan which needs to be agreed upon with the Investment Council of the Republic of Tatarstan or of any other region. But when we've passed all these details, all these stages, the investment plan has to be approved by the Investment Council. We've set up such a council in 1212 and in the Republic of Tatarstan, and it is headed by Rais of the Republic, Mr. Minikhanov. And after this project has been approved, then there is an agreement with the Agency of Investment Development, and then they conclude an agreement about implementation of investment activity. The state provides some guarantees, and consequently they start to implement the investment project. What are the preferences? When we talk about investments via the state, investor always asks the question, well, the state means bureaucracy, means difficulties, and before we start to receive profits, it will be a long period of time. This is not so. In 2021, an investment strategy was approved, the declaration which makes the authorities which have to implement the investment project within shortest period of time. And with the help of the management company, which is communicating with state authorities, this stage can be reduced practically if there are any obstacles with regard to the land plots. I think they can reduce. It can be done within a couple of months. This is the possible shortest time, because for the state it is important to find problematic issues which prevent the implementation of the investment project. And in the Republic of Tatarstan, this process is being considered, and they try to find the mechanisms to reduce the time limit.
First of all, why the Investment Council receives developers with their investment projects? Because everything begins with the development side, and this gives the possibility to have a huge buyout. You come to the council, you defend your project, and then you don't need to go to the tender. You can launch your project to the territory. This is much easier than to look at the market for a new project. Now, the tax breaks and tax benefits, this depends, this can vary from the complete tax removal or to the reduction of the taxes. And this includes the tax loan or tax credit law, and for 7 years you can work at the site, you can develop it, but you will have not been taxed. You will not be taxed for this. And now, of course, the legislation shows us that there is nothing special, there is nothing permanent, and in some cases, some developers who used to begin to work at a landlord, then they had to leave it because of the certain changes. But on the other hand, the Republic of Tatarstan guarantees that even if the developer leaves the landlord, you will be able to remove it. It doesn't mean that if you invest in the territory of Tatarstan, you will lose your assets. Second point is that the work at the development project has the mode of one window approach. You go to the Committee of the Investment of the Republic of Tatarstan, and then it is sent to the necessary, the documents are forwarded to the necessary agencies or institutions. You just come to the agency of the development management, and you just don't need to do anything else. And the management companies now already exist for many years in the market. They are ready to provide the complete cycle of services, and this is not only at the stage of the investment projects. When these projects are implemented through the Republican level sites, but also there are some investment projects where we invite a management company to operate there. If a management company comes to a certain site, such a company already brings their own investors for a particular development site. We work for many years with one of the development companies. This is so-called Monsoon Group. They have the experience of 3 industrial parks and 1 agricultural park, and also special economic zone Alabo, Gainopolis, Tasers. These investors implemented their projects through the cooperation with this management company. And the Lilov Partners and Muson Group, you can find the contacts at this particular slide, and you can download them from this QR code. Any questions to Gulnara? If there are no questions, let us give the floor to other speakers. They are going to give us the information on the more specific projects. Stanislav Akhmedzyanov, managing partner of the international company IBC Global. Stanislav, please tell us, is there a niche where you can invest? This is not a small niche, this is a giant niche. Actually, this is a whole gap, and we really demand the warehouses. Can you give us some efficiency figures and indicators in your statement? Thank you for your question, and thank you for your attention, colleagues. Now, talking about the investments into the warehousing real estate. Indeed, the warehouses are very important. Yes, I just want to say that we are using our mobile phones all the time. We use the e-commerce and the deliveries, and of course this cannot operate without warehouses. And we can say that the warehouses are something that this segment will be developing very strongly in the next 10 to 15 years. We talk a lot in our Telegram channel. You can see the QR code on top on the slide, and you can download our Telegram channel. In fact, talking about the Central Asian republics, and Russia and the Central Asian republics are very closely connected. Half of my time I spend in Kazakhstan and Tajikistan. Why? Because it is very important to provide the logistical ways from north to south. And we also can mention 2 principal transportation corridors that connect Russia and the Islamic world and the Central Asia region and Pacific region. The first one is very easy, west to east, and the lower corridor, we have the lower corridor through Kazakhstan and the upper corridor through the territory of Russia and China. But now more and more a new corridor from north to south becomes more and more important. And using an old project, don't think that this is a new project. The project is to build a channel from the Caspian Sea to the Persian Gulf. Actually, this project has been existing since 19th century, but the project is blocked by many countries, and we still don't have this. Imagine if there is a channel, sea channel of this kind, and then the logistics will be able to spread around, and this would be very good. Actually, the cost of the construction could be about $10 billion, and the payback would be also very great. The returns will go to Iran and to Russia and to some other countries. So far, we don't have this channel. Why? Because nobody wants to lose the control of the channel between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. So it is more advantageous for some countries not to build this channel. But nevertheless, we expect that this logistics will be able to be built, and we plan to achieve the necessary capacity per person of the warehousing and the cargo corridors. There is a statistics indicators how many square meters are needed per person. For example, in America, this is 4 square meters per person. In the Western Europe, this is 3.5 to 4 meters. And if you go to some big cities, you see quite a lot of warehouses, even more than the trading centers. Now, if we look at China, the demand is only 0.5 square meters. But please remember what is the population of China. So if we multiply this half square meter by a billion of inhabitants, this is quite a figure. Then for Moscow, the demand is 1.15 square meters. Moscow demand of warehouse areas has doubled since in the last 10 years. And for Kazakhstan, we need 0.4 to 0.6 square meters per person. Now, let's look at this map. You see here the different colors. Where you see darker areas, this is where we have better warehouse supply. Now Russia is working quite actively on the Trans-Siberian railway. You see that Kazan is in black, in dark color. It means that we have enough warehouse facilities in Kazan. Now let's look at the warehouse launching statistics. Since 2020, we expected the historical record of the introduction of facilities. You see here the low curve. This is it shows the decrease of the available warehouse spaces. In fact, you see that the red line, which is quite close to zero, shows the availability in Tatarstan in 2023 and in 2024, and Elena probably will confirm. The availability of warehousing space is close to zero. Now let's look at the distribution of warehouses by regions. We see the Tatarstan without Kazan here, and again online retail. Our mobile phones lure us into now they are very interesting, and actually our mobile phones are offering us quite a lot of interesting things. So I make photos and then I see, for example, monitors and chairs that are here offered to me. And as Elena mentioned, we have quite a lot of preliminary deals. If a contract is concluded before the project or development project is started, this is already before the project starts, and that means that the main contract will be active already after the beginning of the construction. So the warehouse projects are very interesting, very important for investors, and the investors can be sure that you can invest some $20 or $30 million, and you will have the clear payback for the next 15 years. Well, of course, the return on investments is not very high. This is from 11.5 to 15% of interest on the return on your investments. In 2020, Tatarstan was very active, and you can see a small village called Stolbishi, not far from Kazan. There was nothing at that point, but in a few days, in few years, you will have many facilities, warehouse facilities. In 2024, we are going to have more than 120,000 of square meters. Why the rate of development is not very high? Because at the end of 2023 we got a very high growth of the interest rate, and now we see that the interest rate is included in the costs of the construction. It is quite clear the costs are growing and the interest rates are growing, and we are talking about the dynamics and the trends of the rental rates. At the end of years 2010, in 23 the rental rate grew 35%, and at the beginning of 2024 we already saw the growth of 16%, so that the cost was more than 8,000 rubles per square meters. But as Elena said, the growth of costs of the warehousing is inevitable, and for the end of the 2024 we forecast the cost of the warehouse rental more than 12,000. So the conclusions are that at the next 8 to 6 years, the warehouse real estate market in Tatarstan will grow 2.6 times. We like very much nice figures. The journalists like to write very nice figures. And now let us calculate the maximum growth. In the last few years, if we compare the prices of 2024 against 2022, the growth was 59% compared with the end of 2029. These jumps in the costs were not available in many years before. In certain sense, developers are now the masters of the situation. They consider, at least they consider themselves so. The federal authorities do not agree with this. But in general, the unresponded demand for warehouses is 2 months higher than the real capabilities of developers. And we are talking about those who promise to build something. If we imagine that all the developers right now start to build new projects, all at the same time, still the demand is higher more than twice than the real capabilities of the developers. Briefly, all kind of warehouses are in need, are important, and this is a real attraction for investors. What is important, and one of the most important features, is unbreakable contract of rental without the power to be broken for 10 years. We have normally this unbreakable contract only for 3 years, for example, for the commercial real estate, but undissolvable contract for warehouses for 10 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope that our colleagues from mass media put down everything correctly. And you have to come back to Tatarstan because you were always mentioning Kazakhstan. But what do you think? Now we face a situation in the market that at the peak of the growth rate, if you conclude the contract for 10 or 12 years, taking into consideration the indexation, maximum indexation, it means that within 10 years you will feel fine. But can you foresee the situation that the market will be oversaturated because myself and yourself, we use all our opportunities to talk to everyone that warehouses are very important. But do you foresee a situation which goes in the back way? Well, someone has to build warehouses. We have to be realistic. Unfortunately, the number of those who build warehouses is limited. Even if I want to find those who build warehouses, they want to receive more money. So talking about the real experience, I would say that this experience grows slow. Now there is a high financing rate and the high cost of labor, and unfortunately the number of migrants is reducing. And we have to pay to the migrants officially, not in the envelopes like it was done before, but it is like 30 or 32%, the self-cost. So when it becomes official, it grows. So the self-cost would not go back, would not roll back. But I'm expecting the situation because there is a kind of an agreement in the market because developers are professional actors, and when there will be need to reduce, they will agree not to increase. We had this situation a couple of years ago, and they agreed that if you allow once to bite off your leg, then the situation would not go back. And now in Kazakhstan, we expect the situation 7% growth every year, and I think that in 10 years, growth rate will be like 85%. I would put 10% for 5 years. No, 7% for 10 years. It is 1.7. It is a lot. Previously, we concluded the agreement for 4 or 5, and we were happy. Again, I fully support you that we don't want the prices to fall, but I don't think that they will fall. Thank you. Let's hope that the correction of the rates will not go down as far as the warehouses are concerned. And 99% of the commercial real estate is built on loans. But let's move forward. Because now our conference reminds us of logistics, but now we want to talk about office and trade investment. Before 2023, the rate was over 30 million square meters. For the warehouses, it was 50 million square meters, and for trade centers. In the last year, there were 25 trade centers that were opened, and this indicator is minimum. So, well, if we talk objectively, the number of trade houses is significantly less. And now there will be a more accurate development, a so-called point development. As for the new facilities, more than 50% fell on district and micro-district trade centers when we talk about 10 or 12,000 square meters. But this project showed more sustainability in the crisis conditions during the pandemic and during the withdrawal of international participants. And now I want to give the floor to my colleague, Clara Rietman. She is the head of the development project at UD Group. They are realizing several projects in different segments, mixed segments, office and trade, and probably you will talk us about them. Good afternoon, good morning. I will talk about our company and about our approach towards the mix of trade and commercial real estate. I represent the G Group, and our main friends are UD Group. And now we were set up in 1996. We are on the first place as for the housing commissioning in 2023. We have our own land bank. We actively invest in commercial real estate, and I will tell you why we do it. Our company, UD Group, we exist for 20 years in the market, and when we understood that it is a correct mixture of trade and office projects, it increases the investment attractiveness not only for the housing but for further investing. And our approach is very serious towards the fulfillment, filling of the commercial real estate and housing. Now in our portfolio we have different facilities, different objects. It is the interregional entertainment and trade facility Kazan Mall. We have a center for family shopping, Gorky Park, and another project from the 2,000 square meters. We have Udacha trade park, and it functioned even during the pandemic when there were many limitations and restrictions, because we took into account the correct loading and correct rules. And in the recent years, our main strategic focus is on multifunctional facilities, because we think that this is the major trend in the development of commercial real estate, and together with the main trend that we are focusing on. So we are on the third place. We are trying to create not only a facility where people will come, but where people will spend time, maximum time after, well, housing and work. Again, it is a polycentric city with 15 minutes of accessibility, because every resident wants to see all the goods, restaurants and entertainment within 15 minutes from their place of residence. Nobody wants to spend time in the traffic jams, in the cars. And this trend of the multifunctional real estate, it is a good part of a multicentric city. And then what we do when we plan our objects. I will talk about the indicators of effectiveness that make the basis for our company. For us, it is important that the to have more than 50% the indicator for IRR. And then when we commission it, it should be less than 10 years. And for this, the multifunctional complexes, which allow every segment of housing earn more, it helps us a lot. And we create the facility, or we manage this facility for a long period, and we build facilities on demand, and then we work on the concept. A very important approach is creation, first of all, planning on paper. The main major value is when you study all the location, the requirements of the citizens of this location. When you study existing and future competitors, and you create a kind of a mix which will be in demand. We work with the requirements of the citizens, with focus groups. We work with GIS data, with platforms, and even with telephone operators. And based on our project that we are implementing now, I will talk about different mixtures. For example, an art center project. It is a trade and office center with a function, with a big function of food courts. The total area is 40,000 square meters, and the business model is a long-term ownership. We will manage it, we will lease it, and the time of return and the figure of return at 21%. It will consist of food space, fitness centers, and thanks to its architecture, interactive museum, an interesting place, it will be a place of attraction of tourists, for the tourists. Already we mentioned today that we have lots of tourists, and using the food space, we open halal restaurants, Tatar cuisine, and it will be interesting for guests of our city. So everything will be there. There will be many cuisines, and you will be able to find them. A very interesting project is UNO. It is a project which includes housing. It's a different business model, and the housing within this facility allows to have return and to invest in real estate. For example, we realize our housing, and the business space for 12,000 meters will be leased. We are lacking quality office sites, and using the UNA project, we will be able to fulfill this niche. And after selling off houses, the IRR will be like 50%. It will include housing, a trade gallery, which will satisfy the requirements of local residents. It is a business class project. It has a very nice walking area and embankment, and everything is within proximity. The next project is a mixed use. It is service apartments, office tower, and trade gallery. This project is being built in partnership with our consultants from ES company. They are very experienced in construction of service apartments, and IRR will be 25% and return on the investment immediately after sale of apartments. There will be 585 apartments, office space, and trade gallery. We will satisfy the requirements of the residents of this micro location, and those who will live in the apart hotel. It's a very interesting form of investment. I think this is a very interesting form of investment for private investors, for whom, well, they want to have a low threshold of investment, but for major investors it is also very attractive. In principle, we work in different directions, and of course it is a project financing. We work with escrow accounts, we work with private residents, investors, and we are prepared to invite for cooperation to develop and plan different formats of multifunctional complexes and facilities on demand of a specific location which we will choose together with the investor. Thank you, Clara. I don't know how our foreign guests treat these slides with a zero period of self-cost and with the IRR of 50%. But this is only internal. It's only for the developing company. Can you disclose us some information about the date of the opening when the service apartments will start to be sold? No, I don't know the date, but I think it is the fourth quarter of this year. Well, and the start of sales also falls on the fourth quarter. Well, the UNA project is being sold, and all the projects are being under consideration, and the Park Hotel is at the stage of receiving an IRD. So it's a project which will include private investments, and while using the mass media, we will advertise start of sales. So thank you, Clara. Let's move further, and now we will tackle again the construction of industrial property and warehouses, and I will ask Marat Shakirov, General Director of Unipark company, and he will talk about the demand for warehouses and talking about the regional cities and cities with a population of 500,000 and less.
Good morning, dear participants. I'm Marat Shakirov, the managing partner of Unipark Group. Indeed, we face now the change in the demand, including the commercial real estate, and we see growth not only in big cities of the Republic, but also in the agglomerations and in smaller cities, that is, remote districts and areas of the Republic. Let me tell a few words about our company, Unipark. This is a full-cycle company. We supervise the development of 16 industrial parks in the municipal zones of Tatarstan, and we are a venture fund daughter company, and actually our company was set up specifically for supervisor development of industrial parks. We work in smaller towns with a population of 50,000 inhabitants, and we prepare the projects for the investors to provide them the state's governmental support. And normally our development sites are within 200 kilometers from the biggest cities of the Republic. And the investors receive the complete institutional and municipal governmental support. First of all, for the entrepreneurs who want to implement their projects. First of all, we have the greenfield approach, and the free land lots are more than 300 hectares. This is the territory available for the development and construction. Since the end of the last year, we have quite a high interest towards our sites. We have 35% growth of the residents, and we are now implementing the projects of BTC kind. We see quite a lot of interest towards our projects, because indeed we see quite a lot of interest towards this, and the high rental rate is very restrictive. So in big cities we have high labor costs, high rental costs, and that is why the investors are attracted to our local development sites. Sorry, I forgot about my presentation. Let me show you our areas. Our areas are located in the territory of the Tatarstan Republic, and there are certain advantages in our districts. Free energy, low-cost energy, low-cost rental, up to 400 rubles per square meter, beneficial tariffs for energy supply, support of the municipal authorities, and benefits in connecting to the utilities. So we have traditional support for any projects that have the intention to be implemented at the territory of our industrial parks. As I've said, the residents of our industrial zones got quite a lot of benefits. The tax breaks, the support from the governmental institutions and bank institutions. They provide quite a lot of benefits from the banks, and all the investment projects go through the expertise of our Tatarstan Governmental Commission. This is including the purchases of the equipment, and this allowed to get up to 3% interest rate for the loans to buy the equipment. And this is why we are supporting different projects. If we talk about the federal measures of support, first of all, they are intended to the big projects with a cost of more than 100 million rubles. But we are open for the dialogue. We are ready to provide support and services both for small and big projects. And through our mechanism of cooperation, we can provide all types of consulting to our residents. And we provide the connections with the Ministry of Economic Development, Ministry of Agriculture, and Ministry of Construction of the Russian Federation. We have very close connections with these ministries. In general, summing up, we are open for all kinds of projects at the territory of the Republic of Tatarstan, and we are ready to provide all kinds of support at the level and then the stage of designing and implementation of the projects. Here you have the QR codes to download our codes, and I will be glad to answer your questions after our session. Marat, thank you very much. Can you please indicate the most important areas or districts in the Republic of Tatarstan which are in the highest demand? First of all, as of today, in highest demand are the sites that are close to the highways. And I want to point out that our zones are located in this particular principal highways. That is why, if we talk about the warehouse real estate, this is quite available in our zones. Well, thank you very much. We briefly have overviewed all the segments of the commercial real estate, and finally I would like to ask our speakers to name the three segments of the commercial real estate. What are the most priority segments? Let me, if an investor would ask where to invest, I would say that the first important segment is the light industrial, second is the apartment development, and the third is the trade centers. Well, Rinat, what is your opinion? Well, probably Rinat says we will repeat quite a lot. Maybe it is okay because our investors will then have quite a clear picture. Well, I am a specialist and expert in land development. I would like to add the investments into the land lots for commercial real estate, because the trends can change, but it is very important to have favorable location. There is no more resource of land. Well, Gulnara, if we talk about Tatarstan, within my presentation main lines, I would give priority to the warehouse, industrial production, and housing construction. Stanislav, your opinion? Well, in my view, the first priority is the out-of-city warehouses. The second priority is the warehouses within city, and the third is the dock side. Actually, like in animation movie about Tom and Jerry, all my world is around warehouses. Clara? Well, I will talk about the multifunctional real estate, but within the project of real estate, we can have housing, apartment housing, and also we do not exclude from our real estate the housing warehouse community. And also we see quite a lot of, the third priority is the spaces for communication. Marat, your opinion? Well, first of all, my priority is production and warehousing real estate, because we see that up to 30% are moving to the big cities. So we see that industrial and housing and warehouse real estate is important in smaller towns. Well, thank you very much, dear listeners. Please invest in Tatarstan. And I appreciate the organizers of our session, and I invite you to take this opportunity to speak to talk to our speakers after the session and to ask them specific questions. Thank you for your attention.